up, y'all? My name's Braden Reynolds. I'm from Charlotte Valley. Welcome to Inside the League. Take it away, Jose and Jeremy.
Got to thank Braden Reynolds from Chartiers Valley and B Graphics for the great intro. Welcome, everybody, to the wrap-up episode of Inside the League. I'm Mon Valley Independent Sports Editor Jeremy Salou.
And I am Mon Valley Independent Assistant Sports Editor Jose Negron.
Jose, it's been a great season, and it's time to wrap this thing up and put a bow on it.
Yeah, very bittersweet. It's exciting to wrap up a good summer of basketball like we've seen. Excited to hopefully go into fall sports here, soon. But also a little sad to see it all end. It was a good summer for us.
It's one thing that we talk about it all the time, the relationship we form with a lot of our athletes around here in the Valley. And, we've expanded that. We have a relationship with athletes outside of the Valley now that know us, that we know them. Just looking at the sheet here real quick, Eden Williamson, Hannah Puglisi. It was great to get to know those girls, a lot more of the Trinity girls. We formed a little bit of a tighter bond with those Trinity girls, I think, like the Phoenix, who were part of the league for so many years. Right. We have a relationship with Rodney Gallagher now and Braden Reynolds, so it's great to be able to form those bonds with them. So, let's wrap this thing up. First thing we're going to take a look at is the Girls' Championship, and it was my preseason pick, AMD Industries, winning the title off of Menneson Flores, who was my surprise team of the year.
I took the L.
You did.
I will take it with pride. AMD proved to be the best team all season long. They dominated every single opponent, and that says a lot because every team was so balanced. We've talked about that, time and time again. But AMD showed once again why, they're the cream of the crop in this league. Took a 12-point lead into halftime, and it was a little more of a back and forth second half.
Right.
But AMD, that first half really kind of led them to the championship.
I think what it was a very even game like we saw in the second half. I think Menneson Flores, I think they played with that we have nothing to lose attitude in that second half. I think in the first half there was a little bit of jitters there. Yeah. They were coming off a big win over State Farm, who they had lost to just before that in the final regular season game. But, the second half was even throughout. It was, 23-22 like we said, but for AMD, it was the two Trinity girls again. This time it was flip-flopped. Eden Williamson led the way with 18 points. Kaylin Vienick with 11 points. I had that wrong in the paper. How about that? But anyway, yeah. But for Menneson Flores, Hannah Puglisi, 13 points. Boots the Younger with 10. And I think Emily Vienick did have, 9 or something. But, and I talked to Coach Rathway about it, and AMD had the formula to beat Menneson Flores because they have the bodies inside to match up with Hannah Puglisi. And, she still had a double-double, I think, 13 and 10. But, it was a little bit more difficult with Bailey Brinson, Williamson inside. But, that's something. Menneson Flores, this team's only going to get better. Right. And I expect this, maybe a rematch in next year's championship game.
Absolutely. This Menneson Flores team, I would say probably the youngest team in the girls division, and you look at the future of this league, and if we can get even more talent in here,
right.
That's only going to add to it. And I think Menneson Flores can add through the draft, add to this young nucleus that head coach Chad Corrado has, and they're going to be a force. And obviously AMD is going to be a force to be reckoned with again. They got a lot of girls coming back, so it's hard not to look at them kind of as like the early favorite.
Well, like you said, when you picked State Farm to win the title, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Mm-hmm. And right now, AMD's that team, so they're going to go in next year probably as the prohibitive favorite. And these other teams, we talked a little bit before we started recording about what teams could make a jump, what teams can make a leap. And it's going to be really interesting because like this league, what sets this league apart is anything can happen.
Right.
We could see a trade. We could see, more talent, like you said, is undoubtedly going to come into the league. I know Trinity's head coach was there, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more Trinity girls pop into this league.
Right.
So anything can happen.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. And I'm currently in negotiations with head coach Chad Corrado to become a full-time member of the coaching staff next year. I promise I won't get any more technicals. I'll try not to anyway. But just being on the bench and being with that group specifically, and I'm sure it's like it with every team, you get that itch again, and you see how they respond. And in the game against State Farm, I saw Pugliese did one of the moves I was talking about in the game before, and that makes you feel good as a coach. But anything can happen.
Right.
I mean, these girls want to learn. They want to get better. The coaching above and beyond was so much better than it has been in the previous years. I think we really made a statement as a league that this is a place you want to be in the summer. You can still play your AAU, and that's fine, but playing with other teammates from other schools, I think that's what makes this league so special.
Yeah, and I think what's going to bring more girls into this is the players and the coaches themselves. I mean, they're going to, talk about how, what their experiences were like in this league, and I think everybody really had a valuable experience this summer. And I mean, you look at each player on each team, and I can almost guarantee that every single player got better over the last, month and a half or so. So excited to see where the girls division goes going forward.
And the biggest thing is you look at these two teams, especially AMD Industries and Monessen Florist, those girls were there to have fun. Mm-hmm. Coach Corrado made it fun. Coach Rathway made it fun. They came together as like their own high school team. That's what it's all about. I mean, they're not out being drill sergeants or anything like that. They just want these girls to have fun. There was the game that I coached with Coach Corrado, it was Chuck Fest. We were shooting threes all over the place.
Right.
The girls liked that. They had fun. They know when it's not all that serious, and they know when it's time to put your, the nose of the grindstone and go. So, that's one of the biggest thing is how much fun these teams had. And they're going to take that back to their high school teams, and they're going to tell them about it and say, hey, sign up next year.
Right.
So
everybody benefited from this experience.
And from what I'm understanding, there's a good chance there may be a couple more teams if the talent level stays where it is and how many people were interested. So that'll be something exciting as well. So
we'll see where it goes.
You never know. There might be some coaching changes. Some coaches move on. Some coaches. I mean, anything can happen in this league. It's going to be great. But other than that, specifically at this game, like we said, I think there were some jitters early on. But, Monessen Florist really buckled down defensively in the second half. They made it a lot closer game, but AMD in the end just had a lead that was just insurmountable and pulled away, which is what they did all season
long.
Right.
I don't know if AMD was really focused on adding to their lead there in the second half. I think they were kind of just focused on playing solid defense, running out the clock, making sure that they could seal the win. And they've had some big first halves all season long and kind of followed that same game plan. So I think they were able to follow it to a T in the championship game.
Yeah, I know Coach Rathway was very complimentary of Monessen Florist and their players for not backing down, not giving up. And, they made it interesting there in the second half for a while, but then AMD, their experience showed and they just pulled away for it. So congratulations to Coach Rathway. I know she wanted that one really bad, after losing in last year's championship. She has not lost a regular season game yet, so we'll see how long that streak lasts, I don't even know what else we could say about it. It was a great game, great season.
It was a great way to end a good season, and like we said before, we're excited to see where this division goes and to see the talent that comes in. I mean, every year that there's obviously talent that departs. There's seniors that go, but there's always an influx of young talent that comes in and kind of takes their place as the future of this league. And we saw it this year with so many freshman girls, kind of emerging as top talent. Girls like Hannah Pugliese, Macy Justice. I mean, basically all of Chad Carado's team, of the fresh five. So we've seen the influx of young talent, and these girls are now the future of this league, and it's going to be exciting to see where they take it.
For sure, without a doubt. Again, congratulations to AMD, a season well played. Congratulations to all the teams. There was a lot of improvement in the league this year. A lot of players stood out. So just give a couple takeaways of your season. Let's do maybe 3 big takeaways. I'm sure we're probably going to agree on a lot of them.
Yeah,
so we'll just end it when we want to end it.
Right. I think the biggest takeaway is just just how balanced these teams were. Obviously, AMD was maybe a step ahead of every other team, but you look at teams like State Farm, Monessen Florist, Lee Supply, even Edward Jones. Those are teams that every game was going to be a challenge. Every game, every one of those teams could have beat each other. So I think just the balance there. I think Cedarbrook, they obviously has some talent as well, but if they get a few more pieces, they can kind of get into that that mix too. So just the mixture of talent on each team and kind of the star factor on each team. It seemed like everybody kind of had a player that they could rely on. Menneson Florist, it was kind of Hannah Puglisi leading the way. AMD, you had Eden and Kaylin kind of leading the way. State Farm, Ella Kupka was kind of emerged as a leader, another freshman that we kind of talked
she's
about.
Definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with the next few seasons here in the league.
Edward Jones obviously had Alyssa Clutter, Lisa Ply, Gracie Fairman, Jenna Dawson, Jasmine Fisher, and even Cedarbrook with Katie Hoff.
Right.
So everybody kind of had those couple players that they could rely on, and that was nice to see because I feel like in past years you saw it, but in a way you kind of didn't.
Right.
In a sense.
Right. I mean, you mentioned Cedarbrook with Hoff. I mean, yeah, they went 0-10, but it's a little similar to like Union Cleaners in the boys league where, at least for the first half of games, they were in those games.
Right.
I mean, when you have a player like Hoff that you could build around, you're going to get the first overall pick next year. I mean, and that's the other thing about this league is players can re-enter the draft. Right. So you never know who's going to say, hey, I didn't play enough. I want to re-enter. You get to do it once. So you never know who might be there for, Menneson Florist to pick in the first round again next year.
Right.
We mentioned trades. So, I know Coach Corrado talked about trading away his whole draft class for a couple players. Who knows?
I would love to see more trades. You know how I am with fantasy sports.
I can't stand it.
I love trades. I want to see more in the girls division. I want to see more in the boys division. I will be your agent. I will negotiate trades for you, whatever you need. And I'm not just talking to you, Chad, behind the camera. I'm talking to any coach. You let me know. Help you out as I drop one of the
thank goodness for his co-coach Mia Wojtovich could kind of maybe back off, kind of rein him in a little bit. But but other than that, I mean, my biggest takeaway is number one, the talent, and my number two takeaway is it shows that we could easily have two more teams in this league. We start our day a little earlier at 6:00. Play 4 games a night. That's more opportunity for players to play. I know there were some parents upset that their daughters didn't get picked. We could have added 2 more teams. Yeah, but that's going to take an off season.
I think it took
we had
some
2 weeks to put this league together.
Yeah, I think you have to see how it's going to work first.
Right.
And I know that this is kind of the same girls who played in the former Greb League and things like that, but you have this being kind of a new venture for everybody. Right. In a sense, it takes a year to kind of figure out and test the waters in a way.
And once we open up the registration again and we see the response, then we could say, hey, here it is. I'm sure there'll be a story in the newspaper. We're going to 2 more teams. We're going to have 8 teams or something like that. So, bear with us. We literally threw this league together in 2 weeks. So we will definitely.
It's definitely going to be discussed.
Absolutely.
Moving forward.
But other than that, I mean, my other takeaway was just the influx of talent we had from moving the Marx's Court Time Sports Center. We were more accessible to so many other school districts, teams. Just the talent level, top to bottom, was just unbelievable. And getting to watch them every night, like I say, I have a vested interest in it because of my daughter, obviously. But, I pay attention a little bit more to the girls' side than I do the boys' side. But I just think that the talent top to bottom of this league is top notch. And this, again, like we say, this set up as the place to be if you're going to play summer hoops.
I mean, it's just it has given so many kids an opportunity, and not just kids from the Valley, which obviously that's our main goal, is to give our local kids a shot and an opportunity to get better with a summer league, but also kids from, we had kids from Oakland Catholic. We had, you mentioned Katie Hoff from Olsh, Hannah Puglisi from Penn Hills. We had Jasmine Fisher from Woodland Hills.
Right.
They're just certain areas that maybe they couldn't find a summer league somewhat close to home or in the area. So it was nice to be able to branch out and give opportunities to kids in other areas.
And that's the thing. And I know we're tight with the head coach there, but we didn't have any McKeesport girls.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's one thing. I don't think they had their summer league this year. So that's another talent pool right there that I know they had some good young players watching them last year that I wouldn't be surprised if those players are in our
right.
league
And like you said, and like we said about putting the league together, we only had a few weeks to put them together, so maybe they weren't really sure if they wanted to do it, and now that they maybe see what it's like, maybe we'll get more girls from
for sure
going into the next year.
Yeah, but I mean that was my biggest takeaway. Specifically to the young talent, we mentioned Pugliese and Williamson and Alyssa Clutter, and we mentioned Hoff, and just the young talent too.
Right.
I think it's really going to push the upper class talent, for what they need to do next year to come into this league to be successful.
And kind of going off what you said too about giving, having different areas more accessible to Elizabeth. Sarah Catholic.
Right.
We had a lot more Sarah Catholic girls. We had Elizabeth Forward. I don't think before we had any EF girls, but this year we had Bailey Brinson, we had Jocelyn Dawson, we had
Amanda Bedzik,
Haven
Briggs. Yes.
So just a bunch of EF girls that obviously it's in the area where they live, so it's a little easier to access it and be able to come on a nightly basis.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, we had so many young players really step into the spotlight, and that's good for us when we go to these games now in the winter. We could say, hey, she was summer league star. Let's see what she does with her actual team. And a lot of coaches talk about how their teams have improved because these players were in this league improving all summer long.
And you think about too how many colleges have taken notice of what they've been doing this summer.
Right.
I mean, we've had a ton of colleges get in touch with us and college coaches talk about just what we're doing and what the league has been. So that's a big factor too. These girls get a little more exposure in this type of league. Yeah,
and we did have college coaches there and writing stuff down, and I mean, we wish we didn't have to take a break and we didn't have to take a break from fans, but at least we were able to offer the streaming service part of it, that we were able to do some play-by-play, which really got our feet wet in that part of the sports media realm. But we made sure we wanted to bring our league to the masses, so that way college coaches can see, or AAU coaches can see, hey, we want you to play in this league. We want you to continue to develop. We still want you to play for us, but we also want you to expand your horizons a little bit.
Right.
That was the biggest takeaway for me, for sure.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is we will send it over to our photographers. I know we got our best images of the week. I think it was Ben Banford and Mike Darnay this week. So we're going to take a look at their best pictures of the week from championship week, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you to all of our photographers that spent this summer up at Marks' court time with us, Mike, Ben, and Jen, pretty much. So, Jose, let's take a look at the boys' championship now, and we'll wrap up the boys' season. It was B Graphics 77, Farmers Insurance 67, the number 2 seed. B Graphics hands Farmers its first loss of the season on the court, and it's all about how you start, and you can't argue about the way B Graphics started, but it did get a little dramatic at the end.
Yeah, I think the final score isn't really indicative of the start that B Graphics had. I believe they started 18-0.
18-2, yeah. 18-2.
I mean, they just started out so fast, and I think that's what Tim Tyree wanted from his group.
Right.
Obviously, Farmers is so talented that you can't expect them to just settle in and just take the L, because they're not going to do that. And even we were joined on the broadcast by McKee Sport and Union Cleaners head coach Kevin Kovac, and he even said he doesn't expect that Farmers team to just let them go away with a victory, but
even with the lead though that B Graphics ran out to, even Coach Kovac was shocked.
Yeah,
I mean 21-2 at one point. I think it was they put up 51 points in the first half. It was 51-27 at halftime, and then it was the old I pictured in my mind the old Independence Day movie, and Bill Pullman's up there as the president saying, "We will not go quietly into the night."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's a 5-point game with 2 minutes left behind Devin Whitlock and Tayshawn Levy and those guys. Caleb Palumbo hit a lot of big threes, got Farmers right back into the game. But in the end, it was Gallagher, Reynolds, Champagne, Quentin Martin, who really came on at the end of the year once he got back into the swing of things in the league. And B Graphics, I was going to say before the game, it wouldn't have surprised me if B Graphics would have won this game. But it was all about the start. You mentioned Coach Tyree, and I talked to him after the game. And, in the first 2 meetings of the season with them, B Graphics got off to a slow start, and they had to chase. Mm-hmm. This time they just went so miles beyond that and were so far ahead that Farmers Insurance had to chase. And, if there's 5 more minutes in that game, who knows what we're talking about.
Right.
But time ran out on him. Ends up being a 10-point game. But Farmers Insurance outscored B Graphics 40-26 in the second half. So it just goes to show what kind of talent they have. But I think in the end, B Graphics, we talked about at the beginning of the year, had so much young talent. And obviously, when you're led by a Rodney Gallagher and a Braden Reynolds, Trey Champagne was 5 of 6 from 3-point range. He hit his first 5, and Coach Zacek said, that's who really killed us in that game. So, but again, congratulations to B Graphics on winning the championship, and what a fantastic way to finish it out. But it wasn't even as good as the games leading up to that.
I know.
So
it was just an incredible way to end the season. Kind of like we said about the girls division. But B Graphics in that championship game, I know early on Coach Tyree said, "Don't let your foot off the gas," and I really don't think that they did.
I don't think
it's
so.
just a matter of Farmers hitting shots and making things happen. They're too good of a team to just let it kind of spiral out of control. But a great way to end the year. You mentioned the balanced scoring that B Graphics had. Obviously, Rodney Gallagher led the way with 20 points. Like he has really all season.
And he had a double-double. I think he had 7 rebounds in the first half.
Yeah, Trey Champagne, 19 points. You mentioned him from 3. He just couldn't miss early on. And Braden Reynolds with 18, Quentin Martin with 14. And then even Farmers Insurance, Tayshawn Levy with 17, Caleb Palumbo had 16, Devin Whitlock with 15. So they had a lot of balance there on their side too. So 2 phenomenal teams. We kind of anticipated a close matchup. So when it got to 5, I think everybody was a little more excited just because that's what we thought it would be.
I think it was Palumbo that hit that 3 to get it to 5 points. He hit it from the corner down closest to us, and the gym just erupted.
I don't think I haven't heard it that loud all summer, and it was such an incredible environment. I mean, we've expected that from championship games in the past, in the summer leagues and things like that, but the environment was just absolutely incredible. It was like kind of like a Whipple championship game. It was that big game feel, and that's what we've kind of been missing throughout the summer when we weren't able to have fans.
Right. you got to get it up. I think the thing with Farmers Insurance, it took a while for Levy and Palumbo to get their shots to fall. You know, their shots fall in the first half. That game's close throughout. I mean, even though B Graphics scored 51, Farmers easily would have scored close to that much.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we talked about though. Quentin Martin was a big difference in this game.
He was everywhere.
He was everywhere. We talk about, you know, he's a child in a man's body. He's going to be such a big addition to Bell Vernon. Yeah, such a big addition to Bell Vernon's basketball team this year. I mean, he could do everything. Coach Tyree told me there's every game there's 1 to 2 things that just athletically that he does, and you just look at him and say, wow, like I can't believe he just did that.
Yeah.
But you know, he was great defensively. I know his length gave Devin Whitlock some problems. I talked to Coach Zacek. That's the first time I've actually seen Whitlock, you know, lose the handle so much when he tries to get into the lane. And, you know, Coach Zacek thinks he may have tried to do a little bit too much, but, you know, he's a gamer. That's what he wants to do in a big game like that. He has a one-on-one challenge with Gallagher, who's, you know, many consider the top player in the state. You know, so, you know, that's what happens sometimes. And, you know, Coach Zacek was happy with the way his team responded, bounced back, you know, hit some big shots. And like you said, the environment in there was just amazing and makes me wish we had fans all season long because when you have a draw like Gallagher versus Whitlock or Reynolds versus Levy and, you know, Reynolds versus Whitlock, I mean, these guys, people want to come see these people play. That's why we decided to start the live streaming. And
I mean, watching
that's
what
they want.
These guys are worth the price of admission.
Absolutely.
I mean, you want to see these guys play. I mean, you know, we knew, and I kind of wrote this the other day in my story about Rod being named the MVP of the boys division. You know, there's so much hype surrounding him.
Right.
It's not even just coming into the summer league, but going into Laurel Highlands last year.
Right.
And seeing him play in person, obviously I saw him a couple times last year against McKeesport and Thomas Jefferson, and I knew he was good, but when you see him every single night and you see how consistent he is, you believe the hype. And there's, you know, you have to believe the hype surrounding that kid.
Right. And Coach Kovac mentioned it so many times, like, guys were playing perfect defense on him, and he was pulling up and shooting over him with a hand literally in his eye.
And made it look easy.
And he made it look easy. So congratulations to them. You mentioned Gallagher, the MVP. We did announce the All-Stars prior to the game. We'll run through those in a second. But B Graphics is set up for a run here for the next couple years. I know the sponsor, Davis Slagle, was there to accept the trophy. And, you know, he said, he goes, this team is unbelievable. He goes, and I can't wait to watch them over the next few years. I think B Graphics, Reynolds, and I think they have maybe one more senior.
Yeah, I think Reynolds
he's not losing a lot.
Yeah, Reynolds is definitely
he's going to be
biggest
tough.
loss.
Yeah, he's going to be tough to replace, but
then again, kind of like the girls division, you have the draft. If more talent comes in, I mean, it's kind of just a reload factor. And when you have a kid like Rodney Gallagher, you know, who can score 25, 26 points per game, I mean, that's kind of the face of your team that you're going to kind of build around.
And you ask Rodney Gallagher or Braden Reynolds right now, we can pull up the feed on Twitter. This is the league to play in next summer for sure. So it comes straight from their mouths. You know, this is where they would have rather been nowhere else this year playing. So hats off to them for a great season. Coach Tyree, I mean, all he does is win. You know, I mean, another championship, another gold medal for him. So congratulations to him. Farmers Insurance, a tough way to finish, but hey, that's the first time you lost on the court all season long. And you know, and you fought back, you know. And wouldn't have it any other way.
How many games did they win where they only had 5 guys show up, you know, and they were able to do what they do, score 80, 90-plus points while, you know, these kids are playing 32 minutes. You know, that's impressive in itself. And obviously this is a team that's going to lose some guys as well. But when you have a guy like Devin Whitlock coming back, he's 100 miles per hour, you know, all the time, and he gives everything he has every single time he steps on that court. And, you know, that's a guy you want on your team. And I know that Dana Zacek obviously has him at Bell Vernon as an assistant coach there, and he's happy to have him in a red uniform going into next year as well.
We mentioned the All-Stars. We'll run through those real quick. Second-team All-Stars for the Boys League. Makai Valentine from Howard Hanna, Caleb Palumbo from Farmers, Travaris Rowe from Campy's Pizza, Tayshawn Levy from Farmers Insurance, and Nate English from Union Cleaners. First teamers, obviously we mentioned Rodney Gallagher was a unanimous selection. He was named the league's MVP. He got to take home his little crystal trophy. Braden Reynolds, there was no doubt. Keandre DeShields from Howard Hanna. Omar Faulkner from Farmers Insurance. I know people were wondering if he would make that first team cut, but I mean, he was a double-double every time he stepped on the court. Devin Whitlock and Bryce Epps, who, if it wasn't for Gallagher and Reynolds, he would have been the league's leading scorer, miles ahead of everybody else. He had a great season, and he's going to be there for
another young kid,
2 more years. So from Elite Physical Therapy, rounded out the first team. Jose, what were your big takeaways from the boys league this year?
Well, I had two. I think the first one is kind of the influx of coaches that made a difference this summer. You obviously have Dana Zajac and Naz Victoria, who've been there the last several years in the summer league. But when you bring in guys like Tim Tyree, you bring in Elizabeth Ford head coach Matt Loftus, Kevin Kovac, like we mentioned, South Allegheny assistant Veda Epps. I think the impact that these guys made on their teams was just invaluable. I mean, these players really enjoyed, I think, playing with these guys and getting to learn from a different voice and kind of someone who's not their high school coach. So, you look at Howard Hanna and Matt Loftus. He's coaching some of the Bell Vernon kids, Daniel Gordon and Tyler Kovac, and they're getting to learn from a guy who they're rivals really with during the high school season in the same section. So nice, I'm sure, for these high school kids to kind of get that experience learning from those guys, and just the crop of coaches that we have is incredible. I love the additions that we brought into the league, and I think that's made a really big impact this summer.
For sure, and not just the influx of coaching talent. Obviously, there's an influx of player talent, but it's the influx of just good kids. I mean, we were talking about it off camera here during our break that, it makes our job so much easier, and people pay attention to you as a player out on a court. And for us specifically, we mentioned, how easy it is to talk to Gallagher. It was the first time you really talked to him. I talked to Braden Reynolds, and talking to Coach Tyree a little bit more than I have in the past. They demand respect from their players, but they also demand their players respect the game. They demand their players respect the officials. And it's so much easier for us talking to players that do that. I mean, honestly, I don't want to talk to a kid who's going to have a bad attitude. He's going to complain about every call on the court. And this goes for the girls' side too. You want your players to have, their name recognition. Well, do they deserve it? A lot of times, no. I mean, someone gets called for travel and you mouth off to the official the whole way up to the court. I don't care if you got 10 points or, there could be a girl on your team that had 4 points and 12 assists. I want to talk to her for the stories about the way she carries herself. Right. And we talked about, one of the players you talked about football seasons, Larry Calloway from Bell Vernon, or even basketball season. He didn't get to play, but, always comes to the scores table, greets us, shakes our hands, or fist bumps now in the COVID world. Just the way I think a lot of kids need to realize what an influence we have on their futures, because college coaches, they read our stuff. They read our tweets. They want to see who we're highlighting. Don't be disrespectful. I mean, not just to us. I mean, and I'm not saying anybody in specific was disrespectful for us. It's the players in the league were great all season long, but just something to keep a mental note of, and especially, we'll talk about it at the end of the thing with what might happen here with fall sports or something. We become very important, and that's a lot on our shoulders too now. So, I know we didn't want to broadcast these games because of the pressure it puts on us to produce a story, broadcast, but I'm glad we did it because we were able to give these players an outlet, to get their stories told still and get their highlights, out there for coaches, family members, whoever to see. So
yeah, I completely agree.
Kudos to all the players out there. You guys were great all season long. Yeah, I mean that's my biggest takeaway is just the quality of just human beings we had involved with this league, not just players. The coaches were all great. They're all gracious. And, we don't do it for the props. Braden Reynolds and Gallagher especially gave us big shout-outs on Twitter. We appreciate that so much. Not just them two, but all the players do. But when players like them with the with
pomp and circumstance.
Right, that come with those.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's a good way to put it, because everywhere Gallagher goes, on a lower scale, like I'm a Zion Williamson fan, like everybody knew where Zion was. Right. Well, in the WPIAL this year, football and basketball, everybody's going to know where Gallagher is. So when the spotlight's on you like that, for you guys to, think the way you do about us, that means the world to us. And it shows that we're doing a good job too. And it's always good to have positive reinforcement. Oh, yeah. We like that.
We like it. It makes us know that we're doing something meaningful. Right. And that's, I think, what we love most about our job is we're doing something valuable, and we're helping in a sense, and we're doing something that means something to people. Right. So I think that's great. And you mentioned the Zion Williamson comparison. I kind of made that in terms of the fanfare regarding Rodney. There's so much fanfare regarding Zion coming into the NBA. There's so much fanfare regarding Sidney Crosby going into the NHL, and Rod kind of carries that. He's kind of like the chosen one in a sense in the WPIAL.
And he's so humble about it.
He's so humble about it. And he's such a great kid to be able to talk to, and he lets his game do the talking for him. And those are the types of kids that you can't help but just cheer for and hope that they do well.
That's probably the other takeaway I have is, Gallagher, Reynolds, Whitlock, Levy, everybody on all these teams, Keandre DeShields at Howard, who's getting scary thinking he's going to be Gallagher's teammate at Laurel Highlands now, but it's not just that they score, it's the all-around talent.
Yeah.
Gallagher, there was a couple games where he didn't score 20 points, but, he had 10 rebounds or he had 8 assists. Right. It's just the all-around games of all these players in the league are just top-notch.
And just the presence of them on the court. You have to be aware of, for B Graphics, it's so tough to be aware of just Rod,
right?
Because then you got to worry about Braden Reynolds. But then if you key in on those two, Trey Champagne and Quentin Martin can hurt you. So
absolutely,
it's just the presence that they have on the court is just so meaningful out there, and there's so many players like that in this league that just can take over a game, or they can step back and let their teammates kind of make it happen, and they make their teammates better. So.
They can take the night off.
Yeah,
and they're still contributing when they have that off.
Right, and you look at Rod. His season high in points is 41 points. He had that in a loss to Farmers Insurance.
Right.
And it was like a 41 points.
We said it was the quietest 41 points
just like
ever.
That's normal for him, because he's that good. So there's so many kids like that in this league that have really. Emerged as, we talked about in the girls' league how there's balance on every team. It's the same thing here in the boys' league as well.
Right, and you mentioned the biggest thing is it gives us an outlet. With the league coming together the way it did, thank goodness we had sports to finally cover. We were excited to do it. And honestly, we're hoping we get to do it in the fall here. I got a lot of good comments on Twitter and Facebook about the open letter to Tom Wolf I wrote the other day. And again, thank you, everybody. I think I was just saying, what a lot of people think. But I have the stage and the platform to do it, so I did. One person not a fan, but hey, I'll take that over how many, thank yous and stuff I got.
Not everyone's going to be a fan.
I'm perfectly fine with that. Just don't block me when you want to have a debate. But anyway, so the other thing, we talk about is, we're here to fight for our athletes. As much as we hope we get to cover sports, it makes our job easier in the fall. That's our thing, and it goes back to this league, and it ties into what's going on now. Is we are going to fight for you guys. You are our job. I'm not worried about the Penguins. I'm not worried about the Steelers. I'm not worried about the Pirates as much as we are you guys. So just know we support you guys. We want to see you guys all on the field. And if they don't allow fans, you have us to help tell your stories, and that's what we're going to continue doing, and that's what we strive to do. So, we're behind you. We support you. This week's going to be a big week, and hopefully we're out there playing in the fall.
We see how hard these kids work, and we see how hard these coaches work, and the time and effort that they put in. And, you know, I think seeing that aspect of it, that's what makes us want them to have this, you know, have this season and have this opportunity.
If we didn't have sports to cover, we'll survive. We survived in the spring, barely. It wasn't easy, but the biggest thing for us was how it affected you guys, and that's the biggest thing. And you know, I didn't mean to cut off your thoughts and everything, but that's what we want for you guys in the fall. And I think I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic.
I think that's the best thing to do right now is just be optimistic that the right decision is going to be made. I think that you need to see if it works, and you can't do that without you know, coming up with a plan and just seeing if it comes to fruition. You know, so I'm hoping that, you know, in the next couple weeks we'll be on the soccer fields and we'll be at football games and providing coverage like we do every fall, you know, and we pride ourselves in doing it. We pride ourselves in having good relationships with all the coaches and all the kids. And, you know, we're hoping to see everybody this fall, and we're hoping to play sports, you know, just let them play. Just let them play.
Let them play. Plain and simple. Yeah. And you never know. You might see us maybe broadcasting a game. You might, stuff something in the air. I mean,
we have big heads when it comes to broadcasting.
We do. We're popular now. We are
amazing.
We are like Madden and Summerall. I don't know. I don't have a cool telestrator yet.
Yeah.
Naz, is that in the budget? Can we make that happen? I want to draw on the board. Anyway.
Are you mad?
Oh, I'm fat.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. So what like I said, up in the air. This is our last Inside the League episode, but I have a feeling we're going to be back.
Stay tuned.
In some aspect.
Maybe.
Maybe.
See. Who knows?
I mean, if we got sports to talk about, we'll talk about it. We're always down for this. So, and maybe we could do something a little bit more interactive.
Yeah.
You know, get some fans involved. Maybe a Q&A. Maybe one day. Yeah. I don't know. But Kenzie's nodding
keep
her
an
head
eye
yes,
on the on our social media. You know, keep an eye on Twitter at MVI_sports. Keep an eye on your Twitter,
JSalute10. I got a lot of followers after that open letter.
I'm proud.
I need more to follow me at JSalute10, not just at MVI
I'm closing in on 2,000.
And by closing in,
I mean like 500. I'm 150 away, but like, you know, just shoot me a follow. You know, JNegron_13. Get me that 2,000 mark and give you a free MVISBL T-shirt or something. You know,
maybe we got a few of those.
We got a few of them.
I could trade an MVISBL T-shirt for some Funko Pops. We can do that.
I want the Funko Pops.
No, they're me. I'm the boss.
I'll follow you. I'll unfollow you and then follow you again.
Anyway, thank you guys for supporting the league all summer long. Thank you for supporting Mark's Court Time Sports Center. Thank you to our statistician, Rachel Wobrack, Olivia Greco. I know she did some film work. Matt Wobrack doing some film work. There's so many people. Our sponsors who jumped in the last couple games of the championship week. Yep. I know there were, Jared Candelore at Riverview Chevrolet, Z-Bart McKee Sport. Don't ask if I've seen my bottom. Who else? Valley First, Foster House for sure. Oh, that's a good idea.
Sport
Maybe
Auto
Foster
Body.
House today. McKee Sport Auto Body for sure. Valley First Community Federal Credit Union. Are we missing anybody?
I feel like we are. And if we are, I apologize.
Yes.
But we appreciate you. We appreciate the support. Thank you to Chad Corrado for being behind the camera and for making this all go. Thank you to everybody who joined us on broadcast this summer.
Laura Grimm for the championship night at the girls'
Kevin
games.
Kovac and Tim Tyree, Joe Savalak, Dean Delamalva.
Right.
Everybody that's helped kind of make this go around. This was something that we kind of just
gotta give a big shout out to Naz Victoria for coming through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Naz.
We're gonna keep this up there, Naz.
You know
what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
No pressure. Who else? Just everybody that made it happen.
Yeah, coaches, players for being so just courteous to us and being so helpful. We couldn't do it without them. Mark's Court Time Sports Center for being a great host to us all summer long. We appreciate it. And, it was a great summer.
Donnie, I'm still waiting for my chicken strips, buddy. Yeah, never got them chicken strips.
You'll never know how it tasted.
Yeah, I'll never know how good they were. I heard good things.
It was a great summer, and hope we'll be back here next summer.
We'll be back next summer, I'm sure. One way, one form or another, we're going to be back, and I'm excited to bring it to you. Thank you guys. We love all you guys, and we're looking forward to next summer.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Inside the League.
We won't be gone long, I promise.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we go.
Annoyed with her.
Right?
Oh, I just
What'd you do?
get it with the chair.
Play Mike. Like,
How easy it
Just
is to
enjoy-
write about him.
absolutely. How easy it is to write about the good kids and not the ones that complain about every call on the floor, and because people pay attention to that. Right.
Coaches pay attention.
Right.
Quiet on the set.
Sorry.
Man, she is so grounded again.
Absolutely.
All right, ready?
Put that in the bloopers.
Right.